I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, March the 20th, brought to you in part by the Mush Rush family. They're having their annual production sale right here this Friday at 12:30 Central, right out of Elmdale, Kansas, right in the heart of the Flint Hills. I tell you what, these are trying times, but this is their check for the year, guys. And they've got 200 bulls there, mostly Red Angus, mostly 18-month-olds. They've got some composite Red Angus Simmental bulls there. They've got about 120 head of top quality heifers, and you can view and bid at that sale on dvauction.com, and they can use all the help they can get. We've got this is the peak of the weekends. We've got 30 sales on DV Auction, production cattle sales, and all hands on deck. Tell you what, I'm headed to Willard, Utah for the Ward Angus Ranch sale there. It's our 15th annual production sale, and we're going to get through this deal, guys, and you're going to need some breeding stock, so you can stay quarantined right there at your home or ranch and view and bid on these sales this weekend. Like I said, we got about 30 of them this weekend, and these guys need the help, and top quality. Don't let this coronavirus deal make you think things aren't ever going to get better. Eventually they will, and eventually we'll get back to normal, but boy, these are trying times. Traveling across the country, just a lot of anxiety just traveling around. You drive through towns, and there's just nothing open, nobody out and about. Come all the way up from Canyon, Texas, stopped in Laramie, Wyoming, and it's just eerie out there, guys. And the most people I on the whole trip was at my former hometown where I grew up in Clayton, New Mexico, at the Love's Country Store truck stop right there. There was a jillion people in there still traveling around, but this deal's real, guys, and I just hope we can get through this deal. I hope I can get to Utah and help those people get that sale done and get back home to my kids. But we've got a big price disparage, guys. We've talked about it all week long. We know about the gouging that the packers are doing, and ultimately it's the consumers that have to pay it. But they're taking advantage of your cattle feeders, your cattle producers, and it's just blatant and horrible. We've got every single cattlemen's association is out there beating the drum and trying to get something done about this, and whether it's NCBA, that they sent a letter out, they're on top of it. They're talking to people, that they're talking to their people in Washington D.C. They're getting an investigation going on this deal. RCAF has sent out their message, and basically the same thing, and surprisingly we're seeing all these cattlemen's associations pushing in the same direction, because enough is enough. U.S. Cattlemen's Association, they've been on top of it. Got Senator Mike Rounds out of South Dakota. He is going to push through legislation, expecting to here on Friday, to urge Sonny Perdue to use the Commodity Credit Corporation to use those funds to reimburse producers for everything that this deal has cost them. And if a lot of them don't get it, they won't be around anymore, guys. But I tell you what, this is a bad deal. Your beef production is up. I tell you what, they're adding on extra shifts. They're running these plants, and you got to hand it to those workers out there, because they're scared too. The workers are there. They're putting out the product. Your USDA inspectors and graders are there. They're doing their part. The cutouts have went up faster than they've ever gone up before, as high as they've been since 2015, whenever we were just coming off of those record high cattle prices there. Your board is completely out of touch. Just massive swings one way then the other. Limit to limit. Limit up one day, limit down the next, and nobody can really use that as a gauge to find price discovery, but the hell of it is they are, because there's not anything else out there to use. But this deal is really bad. These algorithm trades are just swinging it one way and then the other. The open interest is way down, because a lot of our outside investors have taken their money and done something else with it, or just pulled it completely off the table. your cattle are kind of flat after the huge losses that we've seen ever since this coronavirus deal started, and we were kind of headed down anyway. They've flattened out here, and they ought to be coming back higher. We feel like your fat cattle are going to get higher next week. They've gained ground this week, and this deal is scary, but people still got to eat, and I think we're seeing more awareness than we've ever seen. And I hate it that we had to see a crisis like this to come out, but the awareness is out there. Your people that are leaders in our industry, that have the contacts and have the wherewithal to get something done. I think they're going to get something done this time. I was on a conference call on Thursday with U.S. Cattlemen's Association. We're going to make a big push, and we want all you people to get behind us to establish a minimum requirement of negotiated cash fat cattle sales volume every week from your major packers. We've got to get that done. I know there's a lot of issues out there that are affecting the industry too, but we've got to get that done, and I think we've got an opportunity to get it done, and we're going to try to strike while the iron's hot. And with all this awareness, maybe even your consumers are starting to realize where the meat comes from. And so many of them are so far out of touch that they don't know, but they don't understand why they go to the grocery store and there's no meat back there. They think that they just make it back there, I guess, and then just put it out on the shelves. But when they go and the shelves are empty and they ask where it's at, then they kind of get it explained to them from the butcher that this deal, guys are coming in on panic buying. They're buying up more than they need, which we're not complaining about. I mean, that's great. We can produce the product here, not getting paid for it, but we can come across with the raw product if they need more meat, and your facilities are working full time to get that through. And believe me, they're making plenty of money on it. So why wouldn't they? But let's look at the board on Thursday. April live cattle futures up the limit $3 at 95.10. Live cattle spot futures up the limit at 95.10, and almost $20 back of what your top fat cattle price is right now too. That's ridiculous. June was up the $3 limit at only 88.92. All the rest of your out fronts were up the limit. March feeder cattle up the limit, and it's $4.50 at 117.07, and it's going to have to meet up with an index value of 123 and change here in just a few days. April feeder cattle contracts up the $4.50 limit at 114.12. All the rest of your traded feeder cattle contracts pretty much up the limit too. Your fat cattle trades, there was a little bit more on Thursday, and then we've moved a ton of cattle, negotiated cash. And you see, whenever things get tight and a lot of volatility, and your packers are real hungry for cattle, they can't get all their needs with the formulas. And this particular week, with all the upheaval and everything that's going on, is the biggest week we've seen for a long time. We've had significant trade every single day of the week. It's finally slowing down here late in the week, but a lot of reason to think that we're going to gain several dollars next week. Iowa had confirmed sales on Thursday of 2,300 head. They've sold nearly 33,000 this week. Your sales on Thursday were 110 to 113. Live 175 to 176 on a dress basis. Nebraska, about 1,200 head confirmed on Thursday. They've sold 51,200 head out of the Nebraska cattle feeding region there. That's more in the area where all five have been trading for a week. And it's unbelievable. Glad to get those cattle moved, but hate to see a crisis like this to make it happen. But your Thursday sales were 110 to 111, a lot of 111 out there, and some 175 dressed. Kansas had just a couple of loads confirmed at 175 dressed. They've sold 28,400 head this week. And Texas, although they didn't have any confirmed sales here late in the week, 10,800 head for the week so far. Through Thursday, in your five area negotiated cash area, we've seen 119,000 800 head move. That is a monster move. It wouldn't have been several years ago. It shouldn't be. We should have that much every week. That's going to be over 20%. That's close to what we're asking for on this minimum requirement to try to get a little bit of leverage back in the market. We think we need at least 30%. That wouldn't be that hard for your packers to do if they want to act like they want to be a part of this overall industry and not just take advantage of everybody. Your live steers through Thursday have averaged 109.71. That's just about steady with the previous week. Dress steers average 173.03 so far through the week, and that's a buck or more off from what we had this time last week. But box beef cutout values have soared. Like I said, the highest we've had in 5 years. Choice cuts on Thursday afternoon, $249.87, up $2.63 on top of those huge gains they've made pretty much every day this week. Select cuts, $241.06, up $2.56. Your choice select spread, $8.81. Huge movement again of 234 loads. So far for the week, we've moved 1,028 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings, and still got Friday to go. I mean, just monster movement there. And like we've been talking earlier in the week, your fat cattle are worth about $1.55, and they're bringing $1.10, $1.11. Ridiculous. But let's look at your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DV auction there late in the week, 121.34, up 82 cents. That's the first time we've seen it go up for a while. Had a big sale in Ogallala, or big for the way things are. They can sell them out there. Pratt had a good sale, didn't have a lot of other cattle moving, so it was a way for it to get up. Your steer tracker, which is the most recent sales, the last 25 sales of bunches of steers in that same weight category, 126.49. Your CME cash feeder cattle index that your March feeder cattle have to tie up to here in just a few days, 123.36. Pratt, Kansas, 1,300 head. That's nothing for them. Feeder steers actually steady to firm. They've been seeing the big losses that all the other sales have been seeing too, but a little bit of confidence coming back around. Steady to firm on feeder steers. Feeder heifers, $2 to $4 higher. Not a very good test of calves. They were kind of mixed in a light test. Slaughter cows, $6 to $8 higher. These cow plants are hurting. They're used to getting a pretty good slug of cows through the sale barns every week, and with everybody scared to bring cattle in and a lot of your sales shut down because they don't want to have the crowds or because they don't have enough cattle, I tell you what, these cow packers are scrambling for cows, and we see whenever we cut the spigot off, then they come to their milk and they start raising the prices. That's what we need on the steers and heifers. Individual quote out of Pratt, Kansas, winter livestock, 60 head of 900-pound steers at $125.50. That's a pretty good quote. Farmers and Ranchers Livestock, Salina, Kansas, only about 600 head there, not well tested. Ogallala Livestock there, Dwayne Mays and Company, they can sell them there. They had 2,000 head, which would not be a very big run for them, but that is a huge run for this week for the way things are. No recent comparison there. They didn't have a sale last week, but look at this rundown come out of DV Auctions automated market reporting system there, Cattle Market Central. Look at these bigger tested weights of steers. 209 head of the 5-weight steers average 558 at 163.66. 228 head of 6-weight steers average 654 at 152.07. Wow, that's very impressive for as much ground as we've lost here in the last few weeks. 346 head of the 7-weight steers average 740 at 141.34. And your top quote, of course, come out of Ogallala Livestock, 81 head of 709-pound steers, $152. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.